welcome to my channel. Today I'll be showing you 3 different fall decor DIYs using items from the Target Dollar Spot, also known as the Bullseye Playground. If you guys aren't familiar with this area, it's right when you first walk in Target, and they have really great items that they switch out seasonally, and the prices range from $1 to $10. So if you've never checked this area out, definitely give it a look next time you're in Target. Back to today's DIYs. All of them are really easy and inexpensive to make, so let's go ahead and get started. The first DIY for today is this Home Sweet Home decorative plate charger, and I'll be using a plate charger from Dollar Tree, Home Sweet Home wooden stickers from the Target Dollar Spot, Americana chalk paint in the color Linen, Folk Art chalk paint in the color Java, my hot glue gun, paintbrushes, and maple leaf garland from Dollar Tree. To start out, I'm taking my chalk paint in the color Linen and I'm painting this onto my plate charger. I did have to do 3 coats of this paint. You could skip this step completely if you bought a white or a cream color charger, but I already had this silver one on hand, so I decided to use it. Once that paint is all dry, I'm then taking my chalk paint in the color Java and I'm dry brushing that around all of the edges and raised parts on the plate charger just to give it a little bit of a distressed look. After my paint's all dry, I'm then taking my wooden stickers and placing them out on the charger where I want them to be before I start gluing them down. After I have my letters placed where I want them to be, to glue them down, I'm placing a little bit of hot glue on the back of each letter, and then I'm just pressing it down onto the plate. I'm continuing this step until I have each one of my wooden letters glued down. Now that I have all of my letters glued down, I'm then taking this maple leaf garland and I'm hot gluing it around the inner edge of my plate. I'm putting the hot glue right onto the plate charger and then I'm placing the plastic garland stem right over top of the hot glue to attach it. I'm continuing this step until I get back around the top, and then I'm cutting off the end of the garland and gluing it down. I forgot to film me cutting off some of the leaves from the extra piece of garland, but here I'm just gluing the leaves that I had cut off around the edges of the plate charger. I'm not adding them in any specific order, I'm just placing them where I think that they would look good and then hot gluing them down. And this is the last step for this decorative fall plate charger. This was so simple to make and I just love how it turned out. Since we're all finished with this DIY, let's move on to the second DIY for today, which is this wooden pumpkin patch sign. For this DIY, I'll be using this wooden slatted circle from the Target Dollar Spot, these pumpkin patch wooden stickers from the Target Dollar Spot, Waverly chalk paint in the color ink, hazelnut, and also in the color pumpkin, Americana chalk paint in the color Linen, paintbrushes, my hot glue gun, and also some buffalo check ribbon. I'm starting out by painting my wooden circle with my chalk paint in the color Linen. I'm making sure that I'm painting around all of the edges as well, and I did have to do 2 coats of this paint. Once my paint has dried, I'm then taking my chalk paint in the color hazelnut and I'm dry brushing that over top, but I'm focusing mainly on the edges and then in between the slats of the wood. After I have the hazelnut color painted on, I'm then taking my chalk paint in the color ink and I'm dry brushing that over top just like I did the hazelnut color. I'm focusing mainly on the edges and in between the slats. I wanted this piece to look very distressed. Once I was finished with my wooden circle, then I moved on to my wooden letters and I'm painting these in the chalk paint color ink, and I'm making sure that I'm getting around all of the edges of the letters. And then I'm also painting my pumpkin, and my chalk paint in this color is in the color pumpkin, and then I'm painting the stem in the color hazelnut. After all of the paint on my letters has dried, I'm just placing them on top of my wooden circle where I want to glue them down. Next, I'm just taking some hot glue, placing it on the back side of each letter, and then sticking it back down onto the wooden circle to attach it. For each letter, I'm only using a small amount of glue on the back side so that the glue doesn't smush out past the letter once I place it down. Now I'm going to be making my double bow. I'm taking my buffalo check ribbon, wrapping it around my 2 fingers once, then twice. The outer ribbon, I'm going to be pushing that through the hole by my hand and my 2 fingers and pulling that through. The ribbon piece that I just pulled through, I'm going to be taking that and then I'm going to be putting it through the loop around my thumb and then pulling that piece through once again, and then just pulling it really tight to form my double bow. I'm cutting off the extra long ends of my ribbon, and for the very last step, I'm using some hot glue to attach my double bow at the very top of my wooden circle. And this is my finished pumpkin patch sign. Let's move on to the third and final DIY for today, which is this wooden buffalo check pumpkin. For this project, I'll be using a wooden ornament pumpkin from the Target dollar spot, buffalo check craft paper from Hobby Lobby, wooden letters from Dollar Tree, Waverly chalk paint in the color ink, Americana chalk paint in the color linen, matte Mod Podge, a paintbrush, a sponge brush, my hot glue gun, scissors, jute, Spanish moss, and some sandpaper. The first step for this project, I'm placing my ornament pumpkin on top of my buffalo check craft paper, and I'm just outlining that on my paper so that I know where to cut. Once I've got that all traced, I'm using some scissors to cut out my pumpkin. It's okay if you can see the black marker line, you won't be able to see that later on. Now I'm taking my paint in the color ink and I'm painting this around all of the edges of my pumpkin, which I probably could have skipped this step and just painted it later on. You'll see later in the video what I mean. But after that paint was all dry, I took my matte Mod Podge and I'm painting that over top of one side of the pumpkin with my sponge brush, and then I'm taking my buffalo check cutout pumpkin and just placing that right over top. After I let that dry for about 15 to 20 minutes, then I'm taking my Mod Podge once again and just painting that over top of my buffalo check paper. After my Mod Podge is all dry, I'm then taking my sandpaper and sanding around the edges of my pumpkin. This is going to take off any extra overlapping pieces of the craft paper, and this is why I should have waited to paint around the edges of my pumpkin, because I didn't realize that sanding it was going to take the paint off. So here I'm just going around the edges with some more of that ink paint. Once the paint's all dry, I'm then flipping the pumpkin over and placing some hot glue down with the jute over top to attach it. I'm going to be wrapping the entire stem of this pumpkin with the jute, so I'm just placing some hot glue down, putting the jute over top, and then continuing this step until I have my entire stem completely wrapped in jute. Once I get to the top of my stem, I'm cutting off the jute and then I'm hot gluing the end piece down. Next, I'm painting my wooden letters FALL with the chalk paint in the color linen, and I only had to do one coat of this paint. After the paint has dried, I'm placing them in the center of my pumpkin before I glue them down. To attach my letter to the pumpkin, I'm placing a little bit of hot glue on the back of each letter and then placing it back down onto the wooden pumpkin. For the last step, I'm taking just a very small piece of Spanish moss and I'm hot gluing that right underneath the jute onto my pumpkin. And this is my finished buffalo check pumpkin. I've been seeing these everywhere in stores and I'm so happy I was able to create my own. If you guys enjoyed today's DIYs, please give this video a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, I would love it if you would subscribe. Be sure to hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Thank you so much for watching.